Hello.
Hello.
Which
How's
way
it
do we
Hey,
going?
want
Danny.
this? There we
Hi.
go.
How you doing?
Ah, beautiful.
We
Wow.
have a special guest, but before we introduce you, go ahead, Helen. You start.
Well, the song that keeps going through my through my head is "You're gonna have to face it, you're addicted to love." But I'm sorry. Now, first of all, I can't sing, so you got to give me a break with that. But tonight we're talking about something quite serious, addiction. And addiction runs in many forms. It can be gambling, it can be shopping, it can be food, it can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be porn, it can be Amazon Prime, just saying for a friend, but it can be all sorts of things like that. And the thing is you might not even know that somebody sitting right next to you might have an addiction. And I think it's really important tonight that this special guest shares his story because if there's anybody that's struggling right now, if you can get a little bit of insight from what he has to share, that's really important. So, Lisa, I'm going to let you take it away and please share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to read something first before we even begin. Okay. Tonight we are venturing into a topic that is both raw and incredibly delicate addiction. We recognize that the conversation around addiction can be fraught with pain, misunderstanding, and unfortunately, judgment. But we want you to know that the space is a haven for empathy and understanding. Our goal is not to cast blame or pass judgment, but to shine a light on this complex issue, to peel back the layers of stigma, and to approach it with compassion. We are particularly honored tonight to have a special guest with us who will share his personal journey through addiction, the challenges he faced, and how he triumphed to come out on the other side of it. His story is not just one of resilience, but a testament to the human spirit and a source of inspiration for all who are grappling with similar issues. Whether you have whether you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, or if you're simply here to learn and grow in your awareness, we welcome you. Together, we can foster a community that not only brings awareness, but supports healing, connection, and hope. So let's embark on this journey with open hearts, open minds, knowing that the path might be difficult, but it's the path we walk together. Let's find strength in shared stories and hope in shared understanding. And we thank you, Danny, for being with us
Oh,
and
no problem.
taking the time to do this.
You got to pay it forward, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know Helen has a few questions. Um,
Okay.
I was gonna do a here's a scenario, but I'm thinking maybe we should just go right into asking some questions for Danny. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Okay. That works for me. Now, Danny, first of all, what was your addiction?
My drug of choice was cocaine.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. 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 Um, do you know why you started using drugs and when you started using drugs?
Yeah. Well, I think my addiction, me being 50, I've had two stints in rehab in my 20s. All right. My addiction is derived from a very, very young age, extremely young age. The
Uh,
first time I had any kind of interaction with drugs was I was 5. All right, and a family member, stuck a joint in my mouth. I had asthma. They thought it was going to be good. Now, some people in my family. I'm going to mention which family member it was. I'm just going to put it at that. But some of my family members, and sort of hippie-ish. You know what I mean, from the '60s and stuff like that. So we're
yeah.
talking 1978. I was 5. And I remember the first time they stuck that in my mouth, I took a hit. I walked into my living room. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I laid on the couch and I had this sensation in my head that I couldn't really explain. It didn't feel bad. Wasn't like in pain, but my addiction started there. And then over the course of the next 20 years, um, it went to alcohol. I remember 1980 on New Year's. Grandparents, me and my brother Jimmy, God rest his soul. We drank a 6-pack of beer. I was 8. I remember bouncing into him. Again, funny
Wow.
thing, funny thing for the kids. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine it now doing that to any. I couldn't even imagine now in this world, in this day and age, that happening.
No.
And it progressed. It progressed. My mom, she worked nights. My brother was 4 years older than me, so she worked Kings Park Psychiatric Hospital. So she worked 11 to 7 shift.
Wow.
I remember being 8, 9 years old, and as soon as my brother was 13. So as soon as my mother left, the way my house was in Rocky Point, we had 2 hills that went like this, and my house was in the middle. So the kids were waiting in the woods as she went over the hill. The party time, the kids were at our house. Every 13, 14-year-old that was snuck out of the house was at my house. So,
Would you say though, when this happened when you were 5 years old,
yeah.
Did they actually force you to smoke a joint?
Well,
No.
not force. It just, that'll help him. It'll help his asthma. Which, looking back now,
Well,
inhaling smoke, when you have
okay.
asthma attack, probably wasn't a good idea,
Okay.
But, I remember it. I remember every birthday after that, this individual in my family would send me a T-shirt with 7 joints rolled and stapled to the back of the shirt. And that's what I would get for my birthday.
Really? I didn't know that.
6,
Wow.
7,
Okay.
so on and so forth. And this leads up to it. And I'm trying not to take too much time, but, from that point on, alcohol, Quaaludes, pills, 8, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old. Okay. Tripping out on acid and mescaline. First time I was 11, 12 years old.
Now, when you were doing that, okay, at 11, 12 years old, you were doing it just to get the high, or were you doing it to say you're unhappy at school and are unhappy in your family life or something like that?
It gets into this. See, when you're that young, you don't know. You know what I mean? The biggest, I think the biggest hurt that I ever felt in my life at loss was when my uncle passed away, my Uncle David, and when I was 9. So I really experienced what loss is there. But I remember, when he did pass away, that me, the other people in my family, we were smoking joints. I remember like when it happened, so it was something that was just normal when I was young that age. I felt like, it was just a part of the family. I don't say part of the family, but I just felt sort of special. I think I felt like I always knew my family was nuts, you know what I mean? But at that young of age, I just thought like, it must be special. But again, going back, it was the wrong idea. But
did you think this was normal?
Absolutely not. Nope. No.
Did your friends partake?
No. I mean, it was now as I got older, 11, 12, I remember when I used to get the T-shirt sent to me for my birthday, I would run up the road and I would smoke joints with the 10-year-olds up the road. Remember, I was 6, 7, 8 years old. So I'd go up the road and then, I remember like it was yesterday. I know the names of the people I spoke to this day. A couple of them are in jail for the last 30 years. I mean, it's, the kind of weird, but, going back to there's a story here. Okay. I remember always being exhausted at school, not really being a great student, being very smart, but just not applying myself. I think that had something to do. And then once I got into high school, it turned. First of all, I did cocaine. I was 14. I remember that like it was yesterday, and then it progressed from there, not going to school anymore. And again, addiction just creeps up on you. First, you think it's like, it's cool, but then it psychologically gets to you. Okay. It really grabs a hold of you because as I was going on, what I remembered is as I was getting to my mid-teens, towards my late teens to my 20s, my addiction really took a hold because I was masking being miserable. All right. Now being 50 now, looking back, 2 stints of rehab. Okay. And I've tried everything, smoke crack, heroin, you name it. I've tried it in my teens and late teens, early 20s. Okay. So, getting to that point and always having that crutch and just never being able to apply myself the way I should be, the reputation you would get, okay, from growing up with other kids, teenagers, took its toll. So it got to a certain point where in my 20s, it really stuck his head up where I would only use and really use a lot of drugs. I mean, hardcore drugs, and be like really use them almost on a daily basis when I was miserable. I never used it when I was happy. When I was happy with life and life was going good, I didn't really feel the need to. It's when things got rough. That's where it just got really bad, you know. You there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So, you know, relationships, it affected relationships. It affected a lot of things where, you know, just again, you know, getting your heart broken, you go run back to the drugs. Then you meet, you know, a girl that you thought you loved, and then you start doing, now you have a mate, now you have a partner in crime. You're doing drugs with them, you know, and that's when I was introduced to, you know, smoking, you know, crack, you know, freebase cocaine, you know, which was really bad. So,
Yeah.
you know, and that ended up extensive rehab. You know, I remember tough love for my mother. She turned her back on me, which I understand why. During the moment, it's not okay. You know, you think about a lot of things go through your head, man. And me, I was always a closet addict. Like me, I would go get a package and go to a hotel room by myself and do it myself. I wasn't like those.
Okay.
I was ashamed. So I didn't want to go out and about and do it with, you know, I wasn't a life of the party and stuff. Let's party. It was me. I would literally isolate, and it got to that point, you know, where I would get it and I would isolate.
Is that the norm, you think?
Some people do it. Some people don't. I mean, there's people out there that did what I did, and they needed hookers and stuff around. You know what I mean? And I didn't need that. I just wanted no part of that. I just wanted to just, yeah, it was a crazy time in my life. But, you know, the addiction, now I know it's at bay, obviously. You know, I don't even think about it anymore. I know what my triggers are. You know, 2 stints in rehab. My last stint, I went to
Seafield?
not Seafield. It was Pilgrim State. Where is that?
Pilgrim State's Long Island.
CK Post. CK Post.
Okay.
CK Post.
Well, I was gonna ask you that how did it affect your work? Because I know you're building an empire right now, and how did it affect you professionally too? You said you were a closet addict, but it had to affect,
without a doubt,
some of your performance, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, I would do drugs the wee hours of the morning, go to work the next day, and not sleep the night before.
Okay.
You know, I mean, yeah, it was just. I wish we had more time, you know, because
we got plenty of time.
No, but
yeah.
I mean, I remember working at a job in the mid '90s, and I remember just not being able to make it to work every day. I just would not be able to. I would do party all night, and then I just couldn't get up for work, and it just, you know. And I worked at a place one time that you know, they supported me when I went to my first stint in rehab. I had a lot of support from people. You know, I got out and I was clean for a while. You know, but 2002, I remember it's 2002, August of 2022. I was 2002. I was in CK Post in Pilgrim State. And that's where I really got a foundation. I learned that time I went in there and I shut my mouth and I listened. I didn't just talk. You know, I listened to people that had a lot of time, or old people that had a lot of time and relapsed. So I got out of that, you know, and you got to say 2002, I was 28 years old when I went into my last stint to rehab. So my late 20s. So the addiction lasted, remember, 5 years old to 28, you know, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. A lot of time of hardcore drug use in my 20s. And even my teens, you know.
Okay. 2 things. Marie asks, what made you stop? Like, what made you stop cold? And after you answer this question, I would like to talk to you and Lisa, because for those of you who don't know, who are watching, these two are a couple. They're married. They have a great love story. But I want to ask Lisa some questions, then I want to ask you some questions. So first of all, Danny, what made you stop? You went to rehab. Well, and I have another question to follow up with that question. Do you miss it? Do you miss it?
No, because I'm happy. What made me stop is I started loving myself. I started loving myself. I loved who I was. I loved that person who was not controlled by thoughts and and places and places and things. Um, I started loving myself, and when you truly love yourself, you're not going to put that shit in your body. You're just not. So I just got to a certain point where I remember when I got a rehab, I started running. I was going to Darcy's gym in Rocky Point. Talk about rock bottom. I went out of rehab, and when I got out of rehab, I was scared to death. I was scared to death when I left rehab because I was like, all right, I don't got walls surrounding me, protecting me. All right, now I'm out in the world now, and there's triggers everywhere. The old people, places, and things, what they teach you in rehab and the rooms, the 12-step program. You're out and you're not protected anymore. So I stayed focused, and I focused on my body, getting healthy, working out, eating right, getting in. I slowly got a job. Didn't want to rush in anything really quick. That's the thing with addicts. We're very compulsive, right? We just want things now. We don't want to wait. We're impatient. And that's why we set ourselves up for failure. So over a period of time, it gets to a certain point where you really got to slow things down, and you got to really focus on what's important. You have to have God in your life. God was a big part of me getting clean, a very big part of it. All right. Praying every night, praying every morning, reading the word. But again, really learning to love yourself, being to a point where I don't need a relationship with a girl to make myself feel good. I don't need a relationship with anybody but me. So I took that in context of, well, God wants me to have a relationship with me. I need to know, how do I tick? What makes me tick? Who am I? We're all so afraid of getting in a relationship with ourselves. So you have to do that to really, really fall in love with yourself before you. So that's how I made a decision.
Now, I think that's the best answer ever. That was wonderful. But I have a question also. Do you stay in touch with any of your druggy people? Any of them?
Well, no. I'm trying to think right now. Maybe one. But no. Really stay in touch? No. I try to think right now. There's 2 people, maybe 3 people in Rocky Point that I was really close to back then that didn't use drugs. I'm still close with. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to a lot of people from Rocky Point, but again, as far as the people that use, and I don't, no, I'll tell you right now, there's a handful that are not here anymore. They OD'd and died. I can tell you that right now, more than a few. But no, I don't really, I don't talk to anybody from that part of my life ever. There's really no, unless they're doing good, not necessarily doing good, but I like to surround myself with people that really care, that love themselves. They're just not conceited way, but care about themselves.
Okay.
So that would be a no. That would be a very long no.
Good. Okay. Now this question is for Lisa. When you decided to marry Danny, or you were together, did you go in with any reservations knowing this history?
No, not one.
Tell me why. Why? Tell me.
That's a good question. Because it was it wasn't something that was in the forefront. It was something that was in his past. He's overcome it. He pushed through it. I've never seen, and that's like in anything that he does. If he wants to learn how to build a car from scratch, he's going to go outside and he's going to build a car from scratch. Not that we have time for that, so you're not going to do that. But he's very determined. He's got strong will, grit, passion. Um, it's never been something that we even really. There's no concern. So I knew it wasn't ever going to be an issue.
Okay. What
Very
would you
proud of
do?
him. I have to say, I am very proud of him, even though I
You should
wasn't
be.
in his life during any of that. Proud of the type of man that he is, that he came out on the other side. Some people, can't or struggle
Yeah.
and aren't able to. which is sad, but
one out of 100 make it. When you're in
yeah,
that, when you're addiction, 1, 2 out of 100 make it a
yeah.
year. So if you have 100 drug addicts to get clean today, 2 of them will still be clean in a year.
Anna, no, he was not.
No.
This was when he was in his late 20s, but also when he was very, very young prior to that.
Yeah.
So,
What would you do now? You have a blended family. Lisa, you have 3, 4 kids. Danny, you
4.
have 2, right? 4. I
3.
get confused. Okay,
3.
sorry.
7
Okay, 3,
altogether.
7 altogether. Okay. Here's the story of a lovely. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. That being said, what would you do if you caught one of your kids doing drugs? What would you do aside from beat them? No, seriously, what would you do?
Well, how old are they? Are they adults? I mean, that
Does it
question.
matter?
They're
Well,
all
yeah,
adults now.
yeah. If they're adults, I mean, what am I going to do? They're their own
Yeah.
person. I just, but I mean,
If
that's
they're struggling, is it the question of they're
yeah.
struggling and some bad stuff is happening?
And you
You
talk about a
know?
teenager, they're 14, you get caught with grass,
Um, well,
you put needles in their room. I mean, that's a really, that's not just
pot
a
is
cut and dry,
slowly,
not quite
it's legal at this point. So it's like not that big a deal. So
yeah.
yeah, okay, whatever. But say you caught him with Coke.
Mhm.
Say both of you, what would you do if you caught your kids with Coke? What would you do?
Well, see, that's a good
Good
question
question.
because nobody sat me down. All right.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, it was a normal thing growing up with my clique. Uh, you know, uh,
Mhm.
you know, eh, I would sit them down and talk to them. I mean, what can you do in this day and age? It's olden days it'd be different, but in this day and age, you gotta. It's a hard question, man. It's. I'm sure it
Yeah.
happens a lot more than people think. I mean, the OD rate and everything else. But if I
Yeah.
walked in my son's bedroom and he was 16, I found a cocaine pack in him. I would see that's the challenge too. You can't just force them to rehab because if they don't want to go, it's not going to do them any good. All they're going to do is go to rehab and meet people that do drugs. So when they leave rehab, they have buddies now to do drugs with. So that's a really tough. I would sit down and talk to them. I would find out the triggers and stuff like that. But it's what I find out is when your children are doing drugs and it gets to a certain point where they're past that point. And what I mean by that is it's not just recreational. You have to really put your tough love hat on. My mom did it to me. I didn't understand why then. I understand it now, and I thank her for that because I had to hit rock bottom. And then when I hit rock bottom, I found out there was a trap door. That I fell through the trap door to the basement. All right, and I was rock bottom. All right, and then that's when you rise from the ashes. You have to say, you know what, enough is enough. I remember the time that the epitome of just the bell going off and go, all right, this is enough. I remember in a car with somebody, looking to the left of him. He was sitting I was in the passenger seat. They were driving with one leg down Ridge Road, smoking a crack pipe at 11 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I looked at him. I said, you know what the hell am I doing? I'm like, dude, pull over, drop me off. That's when I put myself in the rehab. So when I say that, because this is guys, this is like over 20 years ago. This didn't happen last week. Okay. This is what I get people like, this is a long time ago. All right.
Yeah.
So I mean that, but that was my rock bottom. That was my rock bottom. I was never one of those addicts that was hawking things. I never sold stuff. I didn't do that stuff. All right. I just would spend all my money, you know? But again, you got to hit rock bottom. It's hard. It depends where your child is in that thing. You change the friends. Some kids can do it once and that's it. Other kids can't, and I believe that you got this gene in you sometimes from what they told me. I have a
Genetic.
whole,
Yeah.
my grandparents, they were alcoholics,
Mhm.
but I think it's more so emotionally too,
Mhm.
not having stability in your family growing up. That has a big
Yeah.
part of it. But going to answer your question, it's not an easy question to answer when you have
Yeah.
kids. I mean, you can be the tough one. See, here's the thing: you'd be tough, you'd be really tough, and then they're gonna lie to you. Then you don't know what the hell they're doing. Now you could be
Yeah.
overly nice, and then they can walk all over you. So it's
Mhm.
it's not like a easy just here you go. It's a cut and dry black and white thing. There's a lot of gray, and you can't even see the white or black.
Yeah.
So it really depends on certain circumstances and where it's at. I know if somebody came to me when I was at that age, I'd be like, "You effing crazy! Get out of my face! I know
Yeah.
everything. I'm a kid. I don't know nothing."
Yeah.
So it's a hard question to ask. You have to weigh the pros and cons. You just can't throw them in the rehab because they're just going to go. That's a weekend pass for them.
Yeah.
Anna has a question, and she is asking, "Do your children know your story? Do your
Yes.
children know?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds kind of yes and no.
Well, no,
Do they know every detail? They probably don't know
Oh
every
no, you
detail.
don't need to
no,
know
not
every
every
detail.
single
No,
detail, unless they're
Yeah.
watching
no.
this. If they watch this right now, they know more. I mean, my son Danny knows that I had my hiccups when I was a kid.
Mhm.
My daughter Lexi probably definitely knows. As far
Mhm.
as the extent of it, probably not. One day we'll probably have that conversation and share stories. I'm sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm not concerned. I'm not ashamed of it at all. It's just
No.
part of life. I'm
Mhm.
an open book. I'm
Yeah.
actually writing my memoir right now, an autobiography of my life. I'm doing right now, and it's this topic we're on right now is the first part of the book that's done, age 0 to 20. So I didn't get into too much detail in it now. The book's going to be very detailed,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, yeah, I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of my past at all. I don't keep it a secret if somebody asks me because it gives you an opportunity to help somebody else.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you always consider yourself in recovery? Because I understand that.
um,
Um,
well, there's certain things obviously. Yeah,
because I think they
recovery.
say I'm a recovering alcoholic or I'm a
Yeah,
recovering drug addict or
see,
something like that.
there's two ways of looking at that. All right, like I'll give
Yeah.
you an example. Like AA. Let me bring up AA, and I'm not by any means putting down AA at all. Okay,
Okay.
AA is for people, certain people. AA is for not for certain people. Me personally, I went to AA. I did my 160 meetings in 90 days. I was going to meetings twice a day because I needed it at that point. And it's something that once I got to a certain point, and I had a little bit of thick skin, I moved on in life. You know what I mean? It wasn't a life thing for me. All right. I didn't need it. And I moved on. All right.
Hmm.
I got a lot out of it. Don't get me wrong. It gave me the tools necessary to do what I need to do. All right. But I wasn't a lifer. You know what I mean? Because I think this is me personally. This is not against anybody that's in AA at all. This is me personally. I'm an individual. It's my own opinion. I just didn't like feel the need that if I had to be successful in life, I needed AA. I didn't like that. I didn't, because I didn't believe that. Some people do, me personally, I didn't. Okay. I just felt like it strapped me. So, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I would go to a meeting and speak today if somebody asked me, you know. But again, me personally, I worked the 12 steps. Um, when I got right with God myself. So, yeah. But
So
I
I go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
um no, I loved what Marie said. Your challenges are someone's survival guide.
yes,
That's a
Yeah.
I
beautiful
agree with
thing.
that
So we
150%.
appreciate you sharing that, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just you just gotta those of you that are out there and using and think it's life is so rough. It can't. All it takes is a little bit of will and just caring about yourself and time. It's gonna turn around. All right. It took so many years for certain people to get to that point, right? You can't expect it to be changed overnight. You have to go through the stuff. You come out stronger. You're gonna come out better. You're
Yeah.
gonna you just if you give yourself a chance and you have patience, it does work, man. It does. It's you do come out the other. You shake the ashes off. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think with alcohol and drugs, those kind of addictions can kill you. But
Yeah.
if you're talking about hoarding or gambling or food, even overeating, food won't really kill you. But I think for me, I've used food as a coping mechanism when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm this, when I'm that.
Yeah.
And I'm a yo-yo dieter. My weight goes up and down because of whatever's going on in my life. But the thing that always struck me when, with AA, is that you can never have a drink again. Like it seems to me to be so strict that you can't have a drink ever again, or you can't do the drugs ever again because you'll slide down. Because I know, and this doesn't even compare, but when I'm good, I'm really good. But the minute I go for the Doritos, same church, but way different pews, I just keep going down, 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 down. And you say it's a matter of willpower, but I don't think it's that easy.
I
And
don't think I don't.
I'm just talking about food.
No,
But
I don't think it's when you think of addiction. I don't think it's again, it's the individual person too.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You know, some people are stronger than others. That's just the way it is.
yeah,
Me personally, um, I we go on vacation. I have a rum punch. We're down in the we were away on
hmm
vacation on the beach. I don't get
right,
hammered. I don't get drunk. I don't do that.
okay,
I
hmm
it's you get to a certain point where me,
right,
I'm more concerned about doing damage to my liver, and because of my family history, and than me getting
yeah,
drunk and going on a wagon and disappearing.
sure,
I don't. That's not even a thought in my mind anymore.
hmm
But again, addiction. Some people addiction is just waiting. They say in the rooms that it'll peek its head up one day and it'll grab you. Me personally, I just don't. Again, it's individually. Not everybody's the same. In AA and addiction, not every individual is the same. Not everyone's putting on the addiction shoes. Everybody's different. There's people out there that go to AA like myself to get what I need out of it, and get. I knew what was going to kill me. I put it that way. I knew what was going to kill me. All right, that my life would be very short. Okay. And again, once you begin to love yourself,
Yeah.
that's the key. The key is loving yourself and having patience. Not everything's going to work out for you.
And
Okay. You
I'm going
know,
to add to that because um, y- you can't look for somebody else to make you happy, to
no,
fill whatever void you're feeling.
nope.
That's why a lot of people are addicted to things because they're looking for their spouse, their loved one or whoever
Yeah.
to
They're not
make
responsible for your
them
happiness.
happy.
Yeah.
So, I'm not responsible to make him happy and
Nope.
vice versa. Like I'm
We
happy,
have that understanding. We
you
know that.
know.
I'm not responsible for her happiness. She is.
So,
I'm responsible for my own. Yeah.
yep. And
Meet in the middle.
if I think, I'm a no expert here, but I think a lot of people that have addiction to something, no matter what it is, it's filling a void of something that they think that they're missing. But
Yeah.
really, they're
That's
looking for somebody else to fill that void or something
that's
else to fill that void. They have to
yeah.
fill that void. They have to
Yeah.
look deep.
That's why when you go to AA, the first thing your sponsor tells you is no relationships for a year. You need to get a relationship with yourself. No dating.
Yeah.
People go to listen. Half the people go to AA to get a date. Okay, it's just, and then before you know it, 4 or 5 months later, they're both out using again. They relapse together. They get a
Yeah.
partner in crime. All right, so that's one of the things too. Is you gotta have a relationship with yourself for it to work.
Yeah.
Again, hitting rock bottom. The last rehab stint, when I went to rehab, I wanted to go. I wanted to go. I'm like, I need to get the hell out of here. I need to be isolated. I had to shut my
Yeah.
mouth and I had to listen to people and understand. All right.
Yeah.
The first stint, I was like, all right, well, let me just do my time. I'm out of here. I wasn't serious, so it got to a certain point. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die, not like that. So,
And
it
you've said, if you've said that one or two in 100 addicts will make it and the rest will not. Is that true?
if you get 100 addicts that get clean today, one,
Yeah.
maybe two will be clean in 12 months.
So, all right, let me ask you this then. when you have a really, 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 really crappy day,
Mm-hmm.
bad day, you've lost a lot of money in your business, just
Mm-hmm.
something happened, something's fallen through. You don't even think about, I need a drink or I want to go smoke a
No,
joint. Not
no,
once, not ever.
no.
I'm
Tomorrow's a new
very
day.
impressed.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Wow. Wow.
I wake up
Law of
tomorrow's a new
attraction.
day, new beginning. Every day's a new beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, good days too. Hey, listen. On good days, I gotta remember a bad day. When I have a really good day, I think about the bad days. When I have a bad day, I think about the good days. Keeps me balanced. That's the key, is having balance. All right, not embracing on what's going on now. This too shall pass. Keep it simple, stupid. Anybody that's ever gone to AA here knows what that means. Keep it simple,
Okay.
stupid. As humans, we
Uh-huh.
complicate the crap out of things. Everything. Listen, we can complicate. I can complicate this sticky pad right here. I can make it complicated. So you just got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Everything is so serious. Life goes on. I
Okay.
mean, you really got
Another
to. That's how
question.
I look at things. You know.
Lisa, this is for you.
Wait,
All right.
before you ask, hold that thought. I want to say if we do have a rough day, we go watch AGT.
Yeah. I have a rough day. I watch ADT. I cry a little
Oh
bit.
my
I'm
gosh, you guys.
happy. I cry like a baby. Are you kidding me? Oh man, I
You
Oh,
heard
cry.
it here
you're a mush,
first. That's our
Danny.
secret.
I
Okay.
cry.
He's got
I'm
a
not even talking
softer
about. I'm
heart than
talking.
me.
I'm talking about crying, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Ask your question.
Sorry.
Question. That's all right. By the way, Danny, really, thank you very much for sharing. You're going to help somebody. You're
I
going to
hope
help
so.
somebody with this.
I hope so.
So thank you.
Yeah. If I help one person, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, my question's for you. So, you guys have been married for a while now. Let's get to the 10, 15-year mark.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that Danny has relapsed. What would you do?
That's a
What would you
good
do?
And
question.
I'll follow up with the answer to that too, because I think
Okay.
it's important.
Okay. What would you do,
You
Lisa?
know, I'm gonna be very real with you. I've never experienced that. I don't have experience with anybody close to
But
me
that,
needing that. So I
no,
don't know if I would even know. That's
Yeah.
such a good question. I guess I would really talk with him and find out what he's feeling, what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, what
The relapse
now remember,
starts.
this is hypothetical.
Yeah.
That was a
yeah, I don't
hypothetical.
No, this is
yeah.
smart. This is a good question
Okay.
because
Yeah.
relapse happens way before you pick up a drug. Relapse happens. See, addiction is a disease of the mind. It's not. You relapse way before you pick up a joint, a straw, a pipe. Your relapse happens way before that, and it's habits. It's going into your old habits. I'm not going to do that, but you're getting close to the fire. So your relapse happens way before you pick up a drug. I'm talking, it could be months or years before. And again, me telling you, I'm aware of this. I'm aware of habits and triggers and stuff like that. That's why, I don't need to go hang out in a bar and drink. You know what I mean? Because I know if I sit in a bar and I start drinking and I get drunk, it's just a matter of time that I'm gonna be like, all right, I need to straighten up, and I will go look for probably I would, or if somebody offers, I'm not gonna say no. So I don't hang out in bars. I don't go to bars. It's not my gig. You know what I mean? So I'm using it as an example, but you relapse way before you pick up a drug. It's your habits. Your habits, you fall back into old habits, and it's just a matter of time. It's like, when you're put it this way, when you're in sobriety and you relapse before you pick up, it's similar to putting a bag over your head and walking across 495 during rush hour. Sooner or later, you're gonna get hit. Sooner or later, you're gonna get chopped.
Yeah.
So your habits start way before then, way before the actual drug use happens. So
Well, let me ask
Ooh.
this question. Deb
Hey,
says,
Deb.
what are your thoughts on dry drunk, stop drinking, don't attend meetings, attitude doesn't change?
um, it's again, it goes right back to you're not completely sober. A dry drunk, sooner or later, that's probably the most dangerous sobriety. Very risky, my opinion. That would be like me hanging out with my old friends, not picking up. There's going to be one day it's going to happen. It's, you know, if it does, and if it doesn't happen, you're going to make everybody around you miserable. All right. If you're not picking, see, when you go back to that, you know, habits and stuff like that, or if you never leave, you're going to make a lot of people around you miserable, you know, because you're acting like you are, but you're not, you know what I mean? So I think it's really, really important. Again, it comes back to really, truly loving yourself. I think that's really important. And the foundation of sobriety is really giving a shit about yourself and not wanting to harm yourself, not caring about the people around you. And it goes back to the old saying, you can't care about people around you if you don't care about yourself. It's just a fugazi. It's a facade. All right. So you can say all you want, I love them and I care about them. But if you're not taking care of yourself, it's, you know, you're not doing it at full capacity. So, you know, my opinion, again, this is just my individual opinion. That's a setup for failure. If you're just doing the same things you're always doing and you're just not picking up, sooner or later, statistics say that you will pick up. Statistics.
Great answer.
Final thoughts for you, Danny. And Lisa? Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Just love yourself, man. You just gotta love yourself. Not every day is gonna be a good day. Life's full of ups and downs. You know, sometimes you're scraping by, sometimes you got money. You just gotta know this too shall pass, and tomorrow's another day. Every single day you get an opportunity to wake up and make a change. Every day, everybody starts at the same starting line. Yeah. So, you know, things are going bad one day, go to Google TV and just watch some AGT, laugh and cry, go to bed every day. That's what I do. You know?
Start where you are. That's my motto. I always say start where you are.
I could talk about this forever, but I can
go and talk about forever. Too bad nobody was asking questions like live panel. No, I enjoy talking about this stuff because it's a big part of my life in my first 25 years, you know, in this world, man. It's I didn't ask for my addiction, you know, it was given to me by adults around me.
Do you think it was a blessing?
Well, there's two ways to look at that. I look back at it now and I learned a lot of stuff about myself. There's a lot of people that walk around at 50 and are still trying to find who the hell they are. I know who I am. I've learned the hard, you know, I had to go through all that crap to really know who I am, what makes me tick, where my heart is, where my mind's at. Now, if I went back and didn't know that, maybe I wouldn't be so compassionate and passionate about I am today. Now, one thing I am is very compassionate and very empathetic towards people because, Lisa, this is one of my character defects too, is I go out of my way to try to help a lot of people. And even when people don't deserve it, I still do it. People can screw me, stab me in the back, and I'll forget about it in a month and help them again. That's one of my, I think that has stemmed from being young and just wish somebody would help me. And not many people did, you know? So I would just say, you know, you just gotta, somebody's always got it worse than you do.
Well, always. I agree. But I think what you just said, that, you know, because you went through all you went through, you have become the person that you are.
Yeah. I think.
But yeah. And, you know, you had to go deep and you had to hit rock bottom and all that stuff. Yep. But the thing is if you didn't, who would you be now? Would you be alive now if you didn't seek help and go deep? And
no,
where would you be now?
If I never got help,
yeah,
and I never straightened I would be dead. I would have never made it to Florida. I would have been dead before 2005. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I would have been dead. You know, what I put my body through back then was unsustainable. There was days I remember crystal meth, being up 7 days in a row, seeing shadow people. You know, if I didn't wake up one day, I would have, no doubt about it, I would have been a dash somewhere in a stone in a cemetery. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
That's a very sobering thought. No pun intended. No pun intended at all.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I would not be here right now. Yeah. Now, if I snapped my fingers and I was brought up differently, I think with my knowledge in my head, and you know, I'm not too dull of a person. It's I have some sort of an IQ. I like to say myself, I'm sort of smart. I think if I had the right tools growing up, and I think if that's neither here. I don't sit back. I don't resent over this, but I look back, being that we're asking the question, would I be somebody different now? I think I would have been a lot more successful at a younger age instead of me. It's like this time in my life at 50, I think I could have had it in my late 20s if I had a little more structure. And I don't blame anybody for that. I have no resentment towards my mom. She did the best she could. I have no resentment towards anybody. They all did the best they could at that particular time in their life. All right. I don't hold grudges. I don't resent. I don't blame people for my life at all. I'm thankful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for a lot of things. But I think if I didn't change, I definitely would have been dead without a doubt. And if I had maybe a different structured upbringing, I think the success I'm seeing now in life, I would have had probably in my late 20s. Now, in my late 20s, I made money too, but I also spent it, and I had a really, really, really my lifestyle was just out of control. Drugs and drinking and not saving money and acting like, I had an ATM machine in my closet, it was very reckless, my 20s, extremely reckless.
Now, Lisa, do you drink?
I do.
Okay, but you don't drink to get drunky drunk or anything
No,
like that. No.
no.
So,
I
Danny,
got
how would
drunk.
you?
I got drunk by accident 4 times in my life.
Okay, you're both laughing. Do you want to share or no?
No, I just think it's funny. I just, we talked about this. She's told me the time
Yeah.
that she's gotten drunk,
Okay, well,
about
what would
mixing
you do?
alcohol.
Well, what would you do,
By
Danny, if
accident.
what,
God.
what no, what would you do, Danny, if you saw that Lisa began a drinking problem or something like that? How would you handle that?
I would hit it. I would hit it straight on. I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't let it go. I would make her aware. And what I would
Okay.
do is I would probably lead her in a way where she would make their own decision herself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be like, you can't do this, that, the other thing. What are you doing? I wouldn't be like that because
Mm-hmm.
all you're going to do is just make it worse. I'd point out awareness. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I'd back it up with facts and stuff like that. It wouldn't be yelling and screaming. It would be
Mm-hmm.
it would be coming from compassion and being empathetic and caring, really.
Okay. All right. I think we covered a lot. Wow. And as usual, we're at
We're over.
as
Yep.
usual.
Yeah.
That's good.
I
Wow.
want to say thank you, Danny, for
Yeah, no
Thank you,
problem.
sharing.
Danny.
There's a few
I
It's
hope.
things
been
I didn't even know because it was so long ago. Like we've talked about stuff,
Mhm.
family stuff, life, and there was a couple of things I didn't even know. So that was great stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go anywhere yet. What do you have to say, Helen?
I thought it was very interesting and very honest and very poignant and very raw. And I think people
Yeah.
need to hear it.
And this
And
is not a
Danny, that
Heineken.
was
This is not a
amazing.
Heineken, fellas. Just so you know, this is not a Heineken.
Pellegrino.
You might see the
But
green can, be like, look at these. This is bullshit on us. He's drinking a Heineken.
no, we believe you.
No.
Okay, there. I was just going to say that. Everybody, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google
Google
Podcasts.
Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. I was saying it with you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And if you have any subjects that you'd like us to discuss, we can be found at, go, Lisa, go.
We could be found at lisahelenpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Also, just be mindful. Let's see. I want to just give me a minute. Give me a minute. The next show
Ah,
is going to be the 21st, August 21st. We are not going to have a show next Monday, which is August 14th, but we will also post on our Facebook page all that information. And the next topic is sex.
sex.
Danny might be an expert at that too.
Yeah, I was about to say, Danny, maybe you should join us on that one too. Just saying.
I
It's
would
going
love
to
to.
be
I love speaking out. Yeah, listen, trials and tribulations, life's. I would love to. I mean, you guys, me. I would. These topics I
good.
enjoy. I'm a very
Yeah.
old 50, so
Yeah.
Oh God, you're a
Yes.
baby. Please,
Yes.
Yeah.
please. I'm not discussing how old I am. You all know. I'm not telling you. Also, if you need a producer, the gentleman that helps us a lot, especially me,
Yeah.
is go. He is producerjace.com. Producer, just how it's spelled, Jace, JAYCE.com. If you're interested in putting a podcast together, he is the person to talk to. Danny,
Absolutely.
thank you so very much.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
I
You're
appreciate
Danny,
it,
awesome.
guys.
stay right there. Helen, stay right there. Everybody have a
Yes.
great night and thank you for
Thank
the
you,
comments.
everybody.
Yep.
Thank
Share with your
you. Bye,
friends.
Joanne. Bye, Deb. Bye, Anna. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Bye.